Discover the incredible life-changing moment when he exposed her hidden truth after 3 years. Jake Lawson didn't expect the summer fair to loom so large over Maplewood, nor did he expect its excitement to carry the weight of a secret teetering on the brink of revelation. The air buzzed with anticipation, sweetened by the aroma of funnel cakes and popcorn, yet Jake felt a heaviness in his chest, a tightness he couldn't ignore. He shifted nervously, watching the crowd swirl around him, a whirl of color, laughter, and joy that felt just out of reach. Little did he know, this year would become a turning point, unveiling truths that could reshape his world forever. 3 years of raising his kids alone had dulled the sting of his wife's departure, yet the sting never quite left. Every hammer stroke and saw cut reminded Jake of what he was building, a strong foundation for Clara and Sam, his precious treasures. His heart swelled with pride at every school project they completed together, every spilled paint and giggle that echoed through their home. It was simpler, he thought, a true example of what it meant to live with purpose. But then came Lisa, a dynamic new teacher with passion in her eyes, an infectious smile that made him feel alive in ways he hadn't anticipated. Where he believed in hard work, she breathed inspiration, a balance like a well-crafted table. Evenings spent sharing math problems turned into lively discussions about community values and the importance of nurturing their children. Laughter had slowly cemented their friendship, but beneath the surface, Jake could sense a wall, a silent barrier Lisa built that kept something significant hidden. There was tension there, a world of potential unsaid words. He found himself engrossed in thoughts of their bond, wistful but anxious, struggling with feelings he thought beyond him. Would his heart open again, only to find more hurt? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But then came a newcomer, his sleek car glinting in harsh sunlight, a stark contrast to Maplewood's humble charm. It served as an unsettling reminder of the life Jake's ex-wife had chosen. The man's flashy lifestyle held the town hostage in curiosity, whispering judgment at the edges every corner. Tensions flared high as Jake felt a challenge rise within him, a challenge to protect the integrity he held so dear while wrestling with the bitter envy that gnawed at his soul. He was good enough, he was worthy. But what did that mean when comparisons pushed at the seams of doubt? With every day leading up to the fair, Jake's restlessness mounted. The hollow space within himself echoed louder as he pondered if Lisa's secret was intertwined with the newcomer's arrival. Something was brewing, a storm of emotion and revelation hung in the air. And as he approached Lisa that fateful afternoon, his heart pounding against his ribs, he prepared to confront the shadows of what lay beneath their connection. "Lisa, we need to talk," he breathed, the words heavy, electric with possibility. In that moment, a lingering silence filled the air, the crowd fading away, the world around them holding its breath for a truth so profound it could shatter or heal everything they knew. What secrets lay behind those bright eyes? Jake took a step closer to Lisa, the vibrant colors of the fair blurring into a dull backdrop. The lively sounds of laughter and music faded into the distance, overshadowed by the gravity of his words. He steadied himself, searching her face for any hint of what was hidden beneath that enchanting smile. "Is everything okay? You've seemed different lately," he ventured, his voice barely above a whisper. Lisa's eyes flickered, a mixture of surprise and apprehension crossing her features. "Jake," she started, her voice trailing off as she looked around nervously, measuring the potential consequences of the conversation. The tension hung heavily between them, a palpable force that sent ripples of uncertainty through his chest. "Whatever it is, you can tell me," he encouraged, his heart pounding with both fear and hope. He needed her to trust him, to share the part of herself she kept hidden. Suddenly, the images of what could be moments filled with laughter, companionship, and healing swelled in his mind, offering a glimpse of a possible future. Just not here, she finally replied, her voice firm yet soft. The steely edge in her tone hinted at a resoluteness he hadn't anticipated. Where then? He felt the weight of his vulnerability beneath her gaze, and the impulse to retreat tangled with a newfound courage. I want to understand. Lisa hesitated, glancing away, as if searching the bustling atmosphere for answers. Then she took a deep breath, her shoulders rising and falling slowly. Meet me at the old barn after the fair. I'll explain everything, she said, the resolve in her voice painting hope and trepidation. Jake nodded, feeling the wind of change swirl around him. He watched her turn to leave, an invisible thread pulling at his heart as she walked away. The swirl of the fair swept around him, but his mind was locked onto the looming confrontation. What secrets lay behind those bright eyes? It was a question that consumed him, stirring both worry and eager anticipation. The hours crawled as he waited for the fair to wrap up, each passing moment adding weight to his already burdened heart. He toyed with potential outcomes in his mind, the good and the bad, each scenario playing out with raw emotion. Could this moment bring them closer, or would it shatter the fragile bond they shared? Finally, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over Maplewood, he made his way to the barn. The air was cooler now, the scent of hay and earth grounding him as his thoughts spiraled. A flickering light inside hinted at Lisa's arrival, the soft glow illuminating the rustic interior like a stage set for a pivotal scene. When he stepped inside, his heart raced again, not just from trepidation, but from a flicker of excitement that poured straight from the possibility of connection. Lisa? His voice echoed softly against the barn walls. She turned, her face barely visible in the shadows, but he could feel the energy radiating from her. Jake, thank you for coming, she said, her voice trembling slightly. In that instant, all the remaining doubts slipped away, leaving only the burning question of what lay hidden behind her walls. This was their moment. But would it be the revelation he hoped for, or would it shatter the fragile peace they had built? What is the truth? He asked, stepping closer, ready for whatever was to come. Lisa took a deep breath, her eyes searching Jake's face, as if trying to sift through the layers of understanding laid thick between them. Jake, I've been dealing with something that's hard to talk about, she started, her words settling into the silence like leaves falling from a tree. He could see the shadows beneath her eyes, echoing the doubt that had taken residence in her heart. Whatever it is, I'm here, he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. I never meant to pull away from you, she continued, her voice wavering slightly. But my life is more complicated than I've let on. Jake's heart raced. Complicated how? He pressed gently. You can tell me. Taking another deep breath, she stepped closer, her hands fiddling nervously with the hem of her shirt. It's about my family. My dad, he's sick. Really sick. The words spilled out as if unspooling a tightly wound ribbon, each syllable adding weight to his chest. I'm so sorry, he uttered, the sincerity of his concern palpable. How long have you been dealing with this? About a year now, she admitted, tears shimmering in her eyes. I didn't want to burden you. I thought if I pretended everything was okay, maybe it would be. But that's not how it works, Lisa, Jake replied softly, reaching out to touch her arm. You don't have to shoulder this alone. We can face it together. She looked at him, the conflict visible on her face. I've kept so much from you, Jake. I was scared that if you saw the truth, you wouldn't want to be with me anymore. His breath caught in his throat. You couldn't be more wrong. I care about you. That's what makes you who you are. The good, the bad, everything. Lisa's lips trembled, and he could see the struggle within her. But what if I can't handle it? What if it breaks me? Then we'll pick up the pieces together, he reassured, his voice firm but gentle. The weight of her fears folded into his heart like a heavy blanket, each layer a reminder of how deeply he cared. As they stood in that moment, the flickering light cast shadows around them, creating an intimate world just for the two of them. Yet emotions bubbled beneath the surface, threatening to crack open the dam she had built to keep him out. I've also been trying to hold on to normal, she confessed, wiping a stray tear from her cheek. I wanted to enjoy moments with you like going to the fair. but all I felt was this heavy cloud hanging over me. Jake nodded, feeling the sharp sting of her words. I get it. But I want you to know, it's okay to let me in. When you're struggling, it doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. The silence stretched between them, rich with unspoken words, vulnerability, and hope. Lisa's smile was shaky, but it glimmered with a hint of acceptance. You're right, she finally whispered. He reached out, pulling her into a warm embrace. No matter what happens, we'll face it together. As they pulled back, he looked into her eyes, searching for the light he knew was still there, buried beneath the uncertainty. What can I do to help? She hesitated. I need to talk to my dad. It's time to face this together as a family. Jake felt a rush of admiration for her strength. I'll be there for you. Just let me know how. But even as he promised, he felt the encroaching reality of her words, heavy with the shadows of uncertainty. What if her family couldn't handle this? What if the burden was too great? As they stood there, the weight of the moment lingered in the air, but a flicker of a smile broke through the tension in Lisa's expression. Thank you for understanding, she replied, her voice softening. Thank you for trusting me, he said, heartful yet anxious. With their fingers intertwined, they stepped into the future, aware that challenges awaited them. Would they be able to navigate what lay ahead? The question loomed large, echoing in the quiet barn. In that moment, as they walked out into the fading light, the path ahead felt both thrilling and daunting. What would they discover together on this journey? And how would love hold them up as the world shifted beneath their feet? The air outside was crisp as they stepped into the fading afternoon light. Jake felt a mixture of warmth from the embrace and coolness from the uncertainty surrounding them. The world seemed animated, bustling with life, but he couldn't shake the weight of Lisa's revelation. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but together, he hoped they could shield each other from the storm. Let us go, Lisa said, squeezing his hand a little tighter. She took a deep breath, as if steeling herself for what lay ahead. They walked toward her car, the crunch of gravel beneath their feet met with the fluttering of leaves in the breeze. On the surface, everything looked serene, yet beneath it simmered an emotional roller coaster that felt almost tangible. As they drove, the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the road. Lisa kept glancing at Jake, her thoughts unfolding silently like a petal curling open. He stole glances back, trying to decode her emotions: anxiety, fear, a flicker of hope. Are you sure you're ready for this? He asked gently, trying to gauge her confidence. She nodded, though her eyes betrayed the apprehension that lay in her chest. I have to be. It's my dad, Jake. He deserves to know, and I need to know where we stand as a family. He wanted to reassure her further, but felt that words might only tangle into the emotions. Instead, he reached over and brushed his fingers against her forearm, a simple gesture of support. When they arrived at her house, the familiar sight of the family home felt different. The porch steps creaked underfoot like the moan of a weary soul. Lisa hesitated for a moment, her breath catching as she turned to him. What if it doesn't go well? It might not, he replied, his heart heavy with empathy. But I'll be right by your side. You're not walking into this alone. The door opened. Her mom greeted them, a smile spreading across her face as if she didn't sense the storm brewing behind them. You two look like you've just come from a fairy tale, she chirped. Hi, Mom, Lisa replied, forcing a smile. Jake noticed her eyes dart around as if searching for an escape route. He felt her tension rising. They settled in the living room, and Jake watched Lisa's mom chat about mundane topics: the neighborhood gossip, upcoming holidays. Each word was a thread wrapped tightly around the tension between them, forming a web that threatened to pull Lisa away from her mission. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Lisa cleared her throat, her resolve shifting into a palpable urgency. Mom, can we talk about Dad? Her mom's smile faltered slightly. Of course, honey. Is everything all right? With the weight of the world on her shoulders, Lisa took another deep breath. Jake's heart raced as he noticed her fingers trembling. This was at the moment of truth. Dad, he's sick, Lisa managed, her voice breaking through the silence like a soft whisper, yet it echoed through the room with resounding clarity. Her mom's expression shifted, concern flooding her features. What do you mean? Jake felt the air thicken. There were no more pretenses, no more shields. Lisa's eyes welled with tears while her breath quivered. We need to face this together, she said, her voice steadier now. I can't pretend everything is fine anymore. Jake watched as emotion rippled through her mom's face. Pain, worry, and a hint of understanding began to weave deeper into the fabric of their family narrative. The shift was momentous, and suddenly the stakes felt higher than ever. As the towering silence enveloped them, Jake reached for Lisa's hand. What came next would define their journey. How would each family member respond to this revelation? And could the bond they were building withstand the harsh truths of life? The tension in the room was palpable, drawing everyone closer to a decision that held the power to change everything. The air in the room felt charged, like a storm awaiting its moment to break. Lisa's mom stared at her, shock etched across her features. The silence dragged on, heavy and suffocating, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Lisa, what are you talking about? Her mom finally managed, her voice a mix of confusion and fear. Jake felt the weight of this moment pressing down on him, heart pounding, helpless yet determined to support Lisa. Dad, Lisa said again, her voice steadier now, he has been going to the doctor more often, and I've seen the bills there not just for checkups. Something's wrong. Her mom's face paled. The light-hearted banter was gone, stripped away like paint from a dilapidated wall. There was an undeniable tension as the reality, once avoidable, rolled through them. Why didn't he tell me? Why wouldn't he? Her words faded, swallowed by the rising tide of uncertainty. I don't know, Mom. That's why I wanted to talk. We can't be afraid anymore. We need to reach out to him, to figure this out together. The word together hung in the air, a fragile promise that glimmered with hope. It felt monumental, yet like a delicate glass sculpture that could shatter with the wrong move. Lisa's mom blinked rapidly, her emotions simmering just below the surface. Okay, she whispered. Okay, I need to talk to him. You're right. Lisa let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. But Jake could see the crack in her mom's armor. Just when they thought the storm was ready to unleash, the smallest flicker of resolve emerged, carving out space for action. Can you come with me? Lisa asked, the vulnerability in her voice almost tangible. I don't want to face this alone. Jake felt an impulse to step forward, embodying strength for both women. Of course, he said, expressing a solidarity that reverberated in the room. We're in this together. Lisa's mom nodded slowly, her gaze shifting from one to the other, as if assessing the newfound alliance. In that moment, Jake saw a glimpse of her strength shining through the tears that threatened to spill. With a tremor in her voice, Lisa's mom finally replied, all right. Let us call him. Lisa pulled out her phone, her fingers trembling as she dialed. Each ringing tone felt like a countdown, anticipation building. The tension was taut, suffused with an underlying current of hope, tangibly weaving through their shared resolve. Please pick up, Lisa murmured, her eyes pleading silently. Jake squeezed her hand tighter, grounding her in that moment. Then, finally, there was an answer. A low voice crackled through the line, weighted and uncertain. Hello? Dad? Lisa said, her heart racing. We need to talk. As words poured from the receiver, tension mounted again, slowly encasing them in a bubble of collective anxiety. Jake watched as Lisa's face transformed, shifting from determination to dismay, understanding the significance of what this call might hold. Jake, she whispered, looking back at him. He could feel the knot in a heartbeat as he steeled himself for the storm ahead. Her father's voice trembled and the new reality began to swirl around them like a tempest. With every word spoken, the fragile threads of their family story would be woven together or irrevocably pulled apart. What would they discover? Would they find out truths they weren't prepared to handle? With every moment the tension thickened, binding them into a single, anxious breath they were all holding for what was yet to unfold. The air buzzed with a restless energy as Lisa's father continued speaking on the other end of the line, his words both a balm and a knife. Lisa's hand trembled against the phone, heart thudding painfully. She could hardly process his shaky voice, the hints of urgency and something darker lurking beneath it. "We've been meaning to talk, Lisa," he finally said, hesitation familiar and unsettling. "I wanted to protect you, to wait until I had answers." "Dad, just tell me," Lisa pressed, her voice almost a whisper. She exchanged a glance with Jake, who nodded, his eyes conveying a silent surge of encouragement. This was it, this was the moment, teetering at the edge of pressure and relief. There was a long pause, a crack in time where seconds felt like hours. It's more serious than I wanted it to be. I've been diagnosed with a condition. It's not just a cold or fatigue. I've been seeing doctors because, well, I'm trying to figure it all out." The words hung heavy in the room. Lisa's stomach dropped, and her mother gasped softly. Silence reigned for a heartbeat before the unease was shattered. "Condition? What kind of condition?" Lisa's voice was firmer now, determination sparking even amidst the fear. "Dad, we can help you." He sighed, a trembling breath that betrayed the agony of revealing the truth. It's cancer, Lisa. Stage 2. I didn't want you or your mom to know until I had more information, until we could fight it together." The word cancer barreled into the room, a missile that exploded every sense of normalcy within them. Lisa recoiled slightly, heart racing, as her mind began weaving through the implications of that single word. "What?" she gasped. "But you're always so healthy." Lisa, I didn't want to worry you. I thought maybe it would go away or that I could handle it on my own." He sounded smaller now, defeated. Tears welled in Lisa's eyes, overflowing quickly as she blinked hard, trying to swallow down the wave of fear. She felt Jake's supportive presence beside her, steady and firm. "Dad, you're not alone in this. We're here," she insisted, voice cracking with emotion. "Mom's here. Please let us face this together." Her father's voice softened on the other end, though uncertainty lingered like smoke in the air. "I'm so sorry to put this on you both." Lisa's mom finally spoke up, her voice a fragile whisper full of love and resolve. "No, don't apologize. We're a family, we fight together, remember?" Lisa managed a flickering smile through her tears. She could feel the warmth of her mother's words. It was a lifeline in the midst of chaos. "Dad, can you come home? We can talk more, find the best doctor's plan." "You don't have to do this alone," Lisa pleaded. Her stomach twisted at the thought of seeing him in pain. He was her anchor. He couldn't be fighting this battle alone. "Okay," he relented, a hint of relief threading through his voice. "I'll be home soon. I love you both." As the call ended, the silence that followed felt even heavier than before. But it was different, underscored by a collective understanding. They would move through the storm as one. They sat in the shared moment, the weight of the world on their shoulders, but with a flicker of hope igniting between them. "Jake," Lisa breathed, turning to him, her heart still racing. What if he doesn't pull through? What if he reached for her hand, squeezing it? "We'll cross that bridge if we get there," he said gently. "For now, let us focus on helping him. We can't lose hope." As they gathered themselves, steeling their resolve, the door creaked, and Lisa's mom looked at them with an ironclad expression. "We need to make a plan," she said, determination gathering like storm clouds once more. And despite the fear lunging in their chests, the thought of action lit a spark of bravery. They were ready to face the uncertainty together, to dig deep and search for strength in a moment laden with vulnerability. But just as they began to process the seismic shift in their lives, a sinister twist of fate loomed on the horizon, ready to catch them off guard again. What awaited them in the days to come? Would they discover unexpected strength or unraveling secrets they never saw coming? Lisa wiped her face, the tears still threatening to spill as she looked at Jake and her mother. The air felt thick, charged with an intensity that made her heart race. This was no longer just about her father's diagnosis, it was about everything that would unfold because of it. "We need to talk to the doctors," and her mother began, but Lisa interrupted. "Mom, we can't just dive into this without talking about how we feel," Lisa said, though her voice was shaky. "This is huge, and we need to process it together." Her mother nodded, looking small and fragile, but still holding tight to that unbreakable resolve. "You're right. I want to make sure he has the best care possible. Jake leaned in closer, wrapping an arm around Lisa's shoulders. Maybe we should list out our questions for the doctors first. We can't let fear guide our decisions. Good idea, Lisa said, grateful for his steady presence. She took a deep breath, trying to steady the storm inside her. The weight of her father's illness pressed down on them like a heavy fog, but she felt the support around her, the kind of love that wouldn't buckle under the strain. The three of them moved to the kitchen table, pens and paper at the ready. They wrote down questions about treatment options, side effects, and support groups. Lisa felt her heart race with every word she scrawled onto the paper. What if he's too weak for certain treatments? She breathed, the thought slicing through her with icy clarity. Her mother reached out with a comforting hand. We'll make sure he's not. We'll advocate for him. This isn't just about fighting cancer, it's about making sure he feels loved and supported through it all. Jake looked at Lisa, his expression firm and unwavering. And that includes you, Lisa. You need to take care of yourself too. The reminder tugged at her heart. Could she really manage the emotional load along with everything else? The thought was overwhelming. As they continued to brainstorm, Lisa's mind flickered to a memory. Her father had always been the protector, the stoic warrior against the world's challenges. Yet now he was vulnerable, and it frightened her. What would happen when the roles were reversed? Would she know how to guide him as he had guided her all these years? An hour passed. Lists were made, tears were shed, but resolve grew stronger. They shared stories about her father, the goofy moments, the teachings, the laughter. Each memory was like a shield surrounding them, armor against the fear creeping in. Suddenly, the front door opened, and her father stepped inside. He looked worn but determined, the contours of worry etched into his brow. He caught sight of the three of them, their expressions a mixture of love and apprehension. For an instant, Lisa's heart soared, then dropped. She had no idea how to navigate this new reality. Hey, everyone, he said, his voice steady despite the fatigue. I'm back. Dad. We were just making plans, Lisa called out, her throat tightening. He approached, and she noticed how he leaned against the doorframe for support, hidden pain twisting at his features. What kind of plans? The moment felt fragile, like a tightrope walk between the love they all shared and the heavy truths they had to face. Plans to fight this together, her mother replied, courage radiating from her. You're not alone, and we'll do everything we can. An uncertain smile flickered across her father's face, but Lisa could see the doubt lurking behind it. They had made their plans, but would it be enough? Would their determination outweigh the monster they were facing? With their heads held high, they gathered around the table, clutching hands, bracing themselves against the oncoming storm. They needed to be right for her father, but the question loomed, what truths, secrets, and unexpected revelations awaited them as they stepped forward into the unknown together? Lisa felt the gravity of her father's presence settle in the room. He took a seat at the table, his weary demeanor a stark reminder of their new reality. The silence was almost unbearable, each of them wrestling with their thoughts. She could see the flicker of uncertainty in her father's eyes as he tried to gauge the atmosphere, the weight of unspoken fears pressing them all down. Her mother broke the stillness, her voice soft but urgent. We started outlining our questions for the doctors, she said, her tone warm yet resolute. We want to know what options you have and how we can support you. Support? That's what I need right now, he replied, his gaze shifting down to the table, avoiding their eyes. Lisa could feel her heart tightening. Dad, we can get through this together, she said, hoping to infuse strength into her words. You've always been our rock. Now let us be yours. He looked up, their eyes briefly locking. There was an aching vulnerability there, a glimpse of the father she had always known, now standing at a precipice. I just don't want to be a burden, he admitted, his voice breaking slightly. Oh, Dad. Lisa felt a twinge in her chest, an emotional punch she hadn't prepared for. You could never be a burden. We love you too much. Even Jake's arm around her felt tighter, his silent support brewing a storm of emotions within her. Her father sighed heavily, and in that moment, the facade seemed to crack a little. I didn't want you to see me like this. I wanted to be invincible as always. None of us are invincible, Lisa said, letting the truth hang in the air. But that doesn't mean we're weak. We're all in this together, and we'll face it head-on. He nodded, the acceptance like a weight lifting just slightly off his shoulders. The conversation shifted towards logistics appointments, treatment plans, and sleepless nights. But beneath that, there lay a deeper conversation waiting to bloom. Later that evening, as they wrapped up their discussions, Lisa noticed Jake glancing out the window, the shadow of concern painting his features. When he caught her eye, he beckoned her to step outside. "What's on your mind?" she asked, feeling the chill of the evening air swirl around them. He hesitated, his brow knitted together. "It's just, I've been thinking about how much you're taking on. You're putting so much into this for your dad. Are you okay? Honestly?" "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if I can't hold it all together?" He stepped closer, a protective warmth enveloping her. "You don't have to pretend to be strong all the time. It's okay to be scared. This isn't just a challenge for your dad, it's a lot for you too." His words provided a small comfort, yet they twisted the knife deeper into her heart. How did she even begin to share her own fears when she felt responsible for holding everything together? "Being scared doesn't mean you're not strong, Lisa," he said gently. "It means you're human. You've got a lot on your shoulders, but you're not alone." Just then, her father's voice rang out from the house. "Lisa, could you come back in for a minute? I think there's something we need to talk about." She exchanged a concerned look with Jake. "What do you think that's about?" "I don't know, but it sounds important." As they walked back inside, the atmosphere felt charged once more, thick with anticipation. Lisa's heart raced as she braced herself for whatever revelation lay ahead. What could her father possibly want to share? The moment felt heavy with significance, and Lisa could only wonder what hidden truths would unravel and how they would reshape everything she thought she knew. As Lisa entered the dimly lit living room, her father's posture seemed even more tense than before. He sat with his hands clasped together, his knuckles pale against the wood grain of the table. The room felt smaller, almost as if the walls themselves were leaning in to listen. "Lisa," he began, his voice steadier than she expected. "There's something important I need to tell you. About me and about us." Her heart sank. With every passing moment, the fear that had settled in her stomach transformed into a knot of dread. She took a hesitant seat across from him, the tension palpable. Her mother watched closely, concern etched across her face, while Jake leaned against the doorway, hands tucked into his pockets, his eyes flickering between the three of them. "I haven't been completely honest with you," he said, his gaze unwavering. "Not just about my health, but about my life." Lisa blinked, her breath catching. "What do you mean, Dad?" He took a deep breath, as if preparing to dive into cold water. "Before I got sick, I was doing some work that I didn't want to burden you with. I wanted to protect you from any extra stress. But now, I think you deserve to know the truth." Her heart raced faster. She remembered how he had always shielded them from difficulties, believing it was his duty to be the strong one. But now, with those words hanging in the air, it felt like the ground below her might give way. "There are things in my past, things I wish I could take back," he continued, his voice thick with emotion. "Decisions I made that I thought were right at the time, but turned out to haunt me." "What kind of decisions?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Her father shifted in his seat, the burden of his words nearly visible as they struggled to escape. "I wasn't always the man you think I am. I made mistakes, financial decisions, the kind that put our family at risk. I thought if I kept it from you, you wouldn't worry. But now that I'm facing this illness, I realize how foolish that was." Lisa's disbelief cut through her. "Why didn't you tell us sooner? We could have faced it together." She could see shame wash over him. "Because I didn't want you to see me as anything less than your father. I wanted to be your guide, your protector, not someone who failed." Tears pricked at the corners of Lisa's eyes. "But we needed you to be real with us. This isn't just your burden to carry alone." "I know that now," he admitted, voice quavering. "But my past mistakes caught up with me, and I thought I could fight through it without dragging you into it. In the end, I still ended up needing you for this fight." The air in the room grew thick with unsaid truths and swirling emotions. Lisa felt her heart torn, the hurt of his secrets mingling with the deep desire to bridge the gap that had formed between them. Dad, I'm not angry. I'm scared because you didn't trust me enough to share. I've been scared this whole time. Their eyes met, a moment suspended in the reality of their vulnerability. A connection began to form, a fragile acknowledgement of imperfections wearing down the walls they had built. Just then, Jake stepped forward, breaking the intensity. "We're here now," he said softly. "And it's never too late to rebuild what's been broken." Lisa nodded, an echo of hope sparking inside her. "If we can face this together, then we can face anything. As a family." Her father smiled faintly, but it was a smile tinged with uncertainty. "You mean that?" "Of course we do. So let us," but she paused, feeling another wave of emotion crashing over her. A thought struck her. "Let us face this as a family, but also what about your health?" His face shifted, a hint of apprehension casting shadows in his eyes. "There's something else about my diagnosis that you need to know." The room held its breath as Lisa braced herself for whatever truth came next, knowing that their fragile peace hung on the brink of yet another revelation. What revelation loomed so large that it had yet to be shared? Her father inhaled deeply, the weight of his words pressing against him like a dense fog. "I didn't want to alarm you, but the cancer is aggressive. The doctors think we may need to begin treatment immediately." The room fell into a harrowing silence. Each tick of the clock felt like an explosion, echoing in Lisa's mind. "Immediate treatment," she echoed, barely able to voice the words. Her heart raced as she glanced at her mother, who wore a mask of stoic resolve, but Lisa could see the cracks forming as the reality of her father's diagnosis sank deeper. "I know it sounds daunting," he said, concerning lines etched deeper on his face. "But we have options. We can fight this. Together." Tears brimmed in Lisa's eyes again, but this time they were laced with something different, not just fear, but also fierce determination. "We will fight, Dad. We're all here, and we'll figure it out as a family." Jake stepped forward, his presence a fortress beside her. "And you won't have to face it alone. We're here every step of the way. We'll do this together." Her father's eyes, filled with a mix of gratitude and anguish, centered on Jake. "Thank you. I appreciate your support more than I can express." The intensity of that moment felt surreal, as if each heartbeat synchronized, creating an unbreakable bond. "Let us start now," Lisa said, her voice strong despite the tears. "Let us set up the doctor's appointments, talk to specialists, whatever we need to do. Let us do it together." As they began to discuss logistics, a lightness settled into the room, even amidst the storm. They were doing the hard work of rebuilding their family, confronting fears and uncertainties head-on. Hours passed as they hashed out details. Questions spilled from papers, thoughts turned into plans. Laughter began to emerge from Lisa as old stories surfaced, memories weaving their way through the conversation. Each smile was a gentle reminder of the strength they held as a family. Eventually, the evening wrapped its arms around them, and the sky outside vanished behind a curtain of stars. Their conversation slowed, voices softened as the weight of the day settled in. Each of them bore their own emotions, but a thread of hope now connected them. "Dad, we will do everything we can to support you," Lisa assured him once again, her heart full. He smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling. "I never realized how much I needed to hear that." And right then, as they held tightly to that moment, they recognized the extraordinary growth that had happened in their family. They faced their fears and uncertainties hand in hand, no longer afraid to share what was hidden. Days turned into weeks, filled with more doctor meetings, treatment plans, and long talks late into the night. Each day molded them closer, crafting something beautiful from their vulnerability. They experienced laughter amidst the tears, allowing their history to push them forward. When the day finally came for Lisa's father to start treatment, they arrived at the hospital as a united front. Hand in hand, they felt unyielding, tethered by miles of love and newfound strength. Emotion surged, but they held tight to one another, embodying the promise they all made, to fight together. From that moment on, everything began to shift. They learned to lean on one another, share burdens, and celebrate little victories. Each appointment became a stepping stone, every moment a reminder that family is not just about genetics, but about love, loyalty, and resilience. As months passed, Lisa couldn't help but reflect on how profoundly their lives had transformed. They had exposed hidden truths, faced fears like warriors, and crafted strength from vulnerability. Standing in the hospital one sunny afternoon, after another successful appointment, she looked around at her dad flanked by her mother and Jake. They stood proud, each of their faces reflecting a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and undying love. In that moment, she felt it, hope, and as they shared hugs and laughter amongst the bustling atmosphere of the hospital, Lisa realized something deep inside her. This journey had not just been about her father's health, but about healing each of them together. In the face of uncertainty, they had grown closer, and that connection fueled her with the courage to embrace whatever lay ahead. The battle was far from over. But as they faced it together, there was no doubt in her heart. Love was their greatest weapon. So, here's the ultimate truth, folks. In the darkest storms, we find our light. Let's cherish our families and heal together. But wait! Before you leave this chapter behind, you need to subscribe now to never miss our next emotional adventure. Leave a like right now to keep this channel alive and help spread our stories. Comment below your feelings about this ending. I want to hear your thoughts. And share this powerful transformation instantly with at least 5 friends who need a dose of inspiration. Remember, only true fans know the importance of supporting our journey together. Don't wait not even one more second.